Ava believed in forever. The kind of forever that existed in fairy tales and love songs. The kind that promised warmth in winter and peace after storms. She wasn't naive, just hopeful. Her heart was gentle, her love honest, and when Ethan came into her life, it felt like the universe had finally rewarded her patience. He appeared when she needed someone the most. A shoulder to lean on, a voice that made her laugh, hands that felt safe. His words painted pictures of a future she never dared to dream before. "You're my everything," he used to whisper, his breath warm against her ear. "I'll never hurt you." She believed him. Every word. Every promise. Ava gave him her time, her trust, her dreams. She built her world around him. Little moments that felt infinite. Late-night talks under the stars, his arms around her as they planned a life together. His messages that began with "Good morning, my love," and ended with "Sweet dreams, beautiful." Her days began with his name and ended with his voice. For a while, love was her favorite place to live. But love, she learned, can be the most beautiful lie. It started with silence. Tiny absences that grew louder every day. Missed calls, delayed replies, plans cancelled with weak excuses. Ava tried not to overthink. She told herself he was busy, tired, stressed. Anything to silence the unease clawing inside her chest. But love doesn't lie forever. One evening, the truth found her. She was at Ethan's apartment, waiting for him to return from a meeting. She noticed his laptop open, notifications flashing on the screen. She didn't mean to look, but fate doesn't ask for permission. Her heart froze as she saw the messages. Sweet words, promises, pictures, sent to another woman. "I miss you already. Can't wait to hold you again." She doesn't suspect anything. Those words stabbed deeper than any blade could. The man who once swore eternal love had built a second life behind her back. Every memory, every kiss, every tender moment suddenly felt tainted, like a dream she'd woken up from too late. Ava sat there for hours, staring at the evidence of betrayal, feeling her world collapse in slow motion. Tears blurred her vision, but she didn't wipe them away. They fell silently, like pieces of her heart breaking one by one. When Ethan finally walked in, smiling like nothing had changed, she couldn't even speak. The sight of him, the man she once loved more than herself, made her sick. He tried to hold her, but she stepped back, trembling. "Who is she?" Ava's voice was barely a whisper. His smile faltered, but lies came easily to him. "What are you talking about?" "Don't," she said, holding up her hand. "Please. Don't insult me with more lies." He sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and said the words that shattered her completely. "It just happened, Ava. I didn't mean to." He laughed. A hollow, broken sound. "Didn't mean to? You don't accidentally destroy someone's heart." In that moment, something inside her died, but something else was born too. The part of her that once loved him turned into something colder, sharper. She didn't scream, didn't beg. She simply looked at him one last time and said, "You didn't just cheat on me, Ethan. You cheated on love itself." Then she walked out. Outside, the world kept moving. Cars passed, wind blew, people laughed. But for Ava, time stopped. She stood there under the streetlight, tears on her cheeks, realizing that love wasn't always a blessing. Sometimes it was a lesson written in heartbreak. And as she walked away from the ruins of her trust, a new fire began to burn in her chest, quiet, steady, and dangerous. Ethan had no idea yet. But the woman he broke that night would return one day. Not for love. For justice. The days after Ethan's betrayal felt endless. Gray skies, empty rooms, and the haunting echo of his laughter in her memory. Ava would wake up each morning and forget for a moment that he was gone. Then reality would crash down again, heavy and cruel. The man she once called home had turned into the stranger who ruined her. For weeks she barely spoke. The world around her blurred into silence. Her friends tried to comfort her, but there are wounds that no words can heal. At night, she'd sit by her window staring at the city lights, wondering how love could change so fast, how something so pure could turn into poison. But pain, like fire, doesn't just destroy, it forges. One night, after crying until her tears ran dry, Ava looked at her reflection and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her eyes were hollow, her spirit drained. She whispered to herself, "No more." That was the night Ava decided she would no longer be the victim of someone else's choices. She started small. A new haircut, a new routine. She began running in the mornings not to escape the past but to chase her strength. Every step, every breath was a silent promise. I will rise. She poured herself into learning. Business, strategy, influence. The same passion she once gave to love she now gave to power. She studied the world Ethan lived in. The companies he worked with, the people he trusted, the secrets he hid so well. Slowly, piece by piece, Ava began to rebuild herself. It wasn't about revenge yet. Not at first. It was about survival. About proving to herself that she could live without him, stronger than before. But strength has a way of revealing truth. And as Ava grew into her power, she realized something. Forgiveness was not the cure she needed. Justice was. The pain that once paralyzed her became her weapon. The tears that once fell freely turned into armor. She no longer wanted him back. She wanted him to feel, truly feel, what it meant to lose everything that once made him powerful. Months passed and the fragile girl Ethan had broken was gone. In her place stood a woman of grace and quiet fire. Her eyes, once filled with love, now held purpose. Her smile, once soft and trusting, had become mysterious, the kind that hides storms behind calm seas. When she finally stepped back into Ethan's world, no one recognized her. She wasn't the heartbroken lover anymore. She was a force of her own making. Every move she made was deliberate, every word carefully chosen. She carried herself like someone who had walked through fire and learned to dance in the flames. Ethan had destroyed her once, but now Ava was the storm he never saw coming. And deep inside, beneath her calm and beauty, her soul whispered one truth. He broke my heart. I will break his fate. Months turned into a year, and Ava had perfected the art of silence. She had learned that revenge was not about anger. It was about patience. Fire burns fast, but shadows linger longer, and she had become one with the shadows. When she finally stepped back into Ethan's world, she didn't do it as the woman he left behind. She came back as someone new, radiant, composed, untouchable. Her name started appearing at charity galas, business events, and art exhibitions. Always graceful, always surrounded by whispers. People admired her, envied her, wanted to know her. Ethan was no exception. The first time he saw her again, he froze. She looked breathtaking, elegant, confident, untouchable. The softness he once took for weakness was gone. Her eyes held secrets now, and her smile was dangerous in its calm. Ava, he stammered. I didn't expect to see you here. She smiled politely. Life's full of surprises, Ethan. That was all it took. The hunter became the hunted. Ethan tried to rekindle what he had lost, though he didn't understand why he wanted her again. Maybe it was guilt, maybe pride. Maybe he just couldn't stand seeing her shine without him. Ava let him come closer slowly. She laughed at his jokes, attended his meetings, even helped him with new business ideas. To everyone else, it looked like a reunion of old flames. But beneath her calm gestures, Ava was pulling invisible strings. Every move was calculated. She studied his weaknesses, his greed, his ego, his hunger for admiration. She fed them carefully, guiding him into decisions that looked smart but led him straight into ruin. She introduced him to investors, people who were, in truth, her allies. Slowly, his empire began to crumble, not from an attack but from within. He trusted her again just like before. And she watched him fall inch by inch. Sometimes she'd sit across from him in a restaurant listening to him talk about his comeback, and she'd feel a flicker of the old pain, the memory of the girl who once loved this man. But then she'd remember the betrayal, the messages, the tears. That pain became her fuel. One evening when Ethan's company lost its biggest deal, a deal Ava had secretly sabotaged, he came to her, broken and desperate. "I don't understand," he said, his voice trembling. "Everything's falling apart." Ava looked at him, her expression unreadable. She reached out and touched his hand gently. "Sometimes," she whispered, "we lose everything to understand what we once had." For a brief moment he saw it, the truth in her eyes, the vengeance behind her kindness. But by then it was too late. The empire he'd built on lies had turned to dust. As he walked away that night, confused and defeated, Ava stood by the window watching the rain fall. Her reflection stared back at her, calm, unshaken, powerful. The game wasn't over yet. But Ethan had already lost. Ethan's world collapsed quietly, piece by piece, not with explosions or drama but with silence. One morning he woke up to find that his company's accounts were frozen, his partners had withdrawn, and his name had become a whisper of failure in every business circle. The man who once commanded rooms now sat alone in an empty office, surrounded by broken deals and unanswered calls. He couldn't understand how it all happened. Everything had seemed perfect. The new investors, the promising opportunities, even Ava's return. It was as if fate itself had turned against him. But fate, he would soon learn, was wearing her face. When he called her, desperate for help, Ava answered with calm politeness. "Of course, Ethan," she said softly. "Let's meet." He arrived at the small cafe she had chosen, far from the glittering places they used to frequent. She was already there, sitting by the window, sunlight tracing gold across her hair. For a fleeting second he saw the woman he once loved, the one who used to smile just for him. He sat down across from her, his voice shaking. "Ava, I've lost everything. I don't know what to do. I need your advice." She looked at him, really looked, and for a moment her heart almost softened. Almost. But then she remembered the night he broke her, the coldness in his eyes as he said, "It just happened." The sympathy faded. "You always had choices, Ethan," she said quietly. "You just never thought about who you were hurting." He frowned, confusion clouding his face. "What are you saying?" Ava leaned forward, her voice steady but sharp enough to cut. "I'm saying that everything that's happening to you isn't fate. It's consequence." His eyes widened, disbelief flooding in. "You." She didn't smile, didn't gloat. She simply nodded. "You cheated my love, Ethan. I cheated your fate." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. He stared at her, trying to find the woman he used to control, but she was gone. In her place sat someone stronger, colder, untouchable. Ethan's hands trembled. "You ruined me," he whispered. Ava stood, her voice soft but unyielding. "No, Ethan. You ruined yourself. I just made sure you finally saw it." She turned to leave, and for a moment sunlight caught her face, serene, peaceful, free. He wanted to call her name, to beg, to explain, but the words died in his throat. What could he possibly say to the woman who had already won? As Ava stepped out of the cafe, the wind brushed against her skin, warm and alive. For the first time in a long time she felt light, not because she had destroyed him but because she had released herself from his shadow. Revenge hadn't healed her. It had freed her. Behind her, Ethan sat alone, surrounded by the wreckage of his own making. Ahead of her, a new dawn waited, quiet, clean, and endless. Ava didn't look back. He didn't need to. Her story with Ethan was over. Her life finally was hers again.